tonight on CTV News at 6. An important reminder as temperatures climb.
So drink lots of water before you feel thirsty, and lots of fruits and vegetables that have high water content. And in addition, staying cool.
Environment Canada issues a heat warning and tips to stay safe. Plus, they've traveled a long way.
By working with our southern partners, we've worked with several southern rescues, and this is the key to getting dogs out of Northern Ontario.
Dozens of dogs are flown out of Kashechewan First Nation to find homes or reunite with family. And a day of celebration and soccer.
We thought that we would be able to welcome the world and soccer fans, football fans, and come and celebrate.
North Bay hosts a FIFA World Cup fan fest and watch party.
CTV News at 6 with Marina Moore and Tony Rima with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Extreme heat has set in for most of northeastern Ontario, and it's prompted a warning from Environment Canada. Maximum daytime high temperatures of 30 to 37 degrees are expected this week, with humidex values near 45 until Wednesday or Thursday evening. Health experts say with these kind of temperatures, it's important to take action to protect yourself and others. Hot and humid air can also bring deteriorating air quality, approaching the high-risk category. So on that note, let's get straight to the weather story with CTV's Tony Rima and more on this heat wave we're experiencing. Tony, it's feeling like a sauna out there.
It sure is. Temperatures, well, 32, 33 degrees Celsius. And as you mentioned, depending upon where you live, 42 to 43 degrees Celsius. There's a heat warning, orange, in fact, by Environment and Climate Change Canada in through Wawa, Timmins, and Timiskaming Shores. Not much relief either, though, for Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, North Bay, Parry Sound. This is going to last, as Marina told you, until Wednesday evening, maybe even into Thursday. So what's causing all of this? Well, we have a couple of troughs that we'll tell you about a little later in the show, and as a result we'll get a little bit of relief, the odd shower or two, but for the most part it's not going to be that nice out there. We'll get some relief though. Marina, it's back over to you.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Thank you, Tony. So with a heat alert in effect across much of northeastern Ontario, health officials are reminding residents to take the hot weather seriously. As CTV's Lydia Chubak reports, people in Timmins are finding simple ways to stay safe while enjoying the summer sun.
Officials with Northeastern Public Health say the key is to stay ahead of the heat before it takes a toll.
We're also going to recommend that individuals stay hydrated, so drink lots of water before you feel thirsty, and lots of fruits and vegetables that have high water content. And in addition, staying cool, so finding a place that you can move out of the heat, if that's your home with air conditioning or a way to keep cool with the blinds down, or taking breaks from the heat.
Those are tips many people say they are already following.
Hide in the shade and stay inside with the air conditioner.
Today's a hot and stay on the shaded side of the street as much as possible.
But health officials say it's also important to recognize when the heat has become a medical emergency.
During a heat stroke, seeking medical attention or calling 911 is the most important thing that someone can do.
One resident we spoke with says she can feel the effects of the heat if she isn't careful.
Sometimes I feel a little bit dizzy when it's hot, not focused as well. I have to take it easy, drink lots and lots of water.
Despite the high temperatures, many people say they're happy to see summer finally here.
It's nice to have some heat for a change.
Health officials are also encouraging people to check in on those most vulnerable during extreme heat, including seniors, people with underlying health conditions, and those who are unhoused. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
In other news, there was a fatal single vehicle collision on Manitoulin Island over the weekend. Provincial police say the crash involving a pickup truck claimed the life of a 51-year-old man from Port Elgin. It happened along Highway 542 near Mindamoya around 6:45 last night. OPP closed a portion of the road for the investigation and cleanup. And a Sault Ste. Marie woman has died in a weekend crash near Thunder Bay. OPP say the collision involving multiple motorcycles happened along Highway 1117 near Thunder Bay around 7:30 Saturday morning. Investigators closed the roadway in both directions for much of the day. A 58-year-old woman from Sault Ste. Marie was pronounced deceased at the scene. One woman was injured, another charged after a stabbing Friday morning on Manitoulin Island. Wikwemikong Tribal Police say a 20-year-old woman was taken to hospital and treated for stab wounds. A 19-year-old woman from Wikwemikong was arrested and faces several charges, including assault with a weapon and obstructing police. Investigators say at the time of the occurrence, the accused was before the courts on several violent crime charges and was subject to a release order requiring her to remain under house arrest. Several buildings were damaged after a fire over the weekend in Sault Ste. Marie. Sault Ste. Marie Fire Services says crews were called Saturday just before 2 p.m. after smoke and flames were visible from a home and the neighboring residence on Grace Street. Crews say damage is extensive and that one firefighter was taken to hospital as a precaution. Investigators say the fire started outside one of the buildings and that the incident is not believed to be suspicious in nature. The estate of a Sudbury firefighter who died 6 years ago has won a benefits battle against the city. An arbitrator has ruled that Greater Sudbury breached its collective agreement with its professional firefighters union and must pay benefits to the family of Peter St. Denis, a veteran firefighter who died of occupational cancer in 2020. You can read more on this story by going to our website, CTV News Northern Ontario.ca. Porter Airlines says it will be suspending its nonstop service between Ottawa and Sudbury less than 3 months since launching the direct flights. Porter launched the nonstop service on May 1st with 7 flights weekly from the nation's capital. A Porter spokesperson says the airline has operated flights to the Greater Sudbury Airport for over 15 years, but has seen less demand since the pandemic. The airline is attributing part of that to more people driving instead of flying. The final flight will operate on September 7th. A decades-long legal battle involving Zellers pulling out of the mall in downtown Sudbury has ended in a win for the building's owner. A judge awarded the owners of the Elm Place Mall $906,000 in court costs. Vista Sudbury Hotels had initially sued the Oshawa Group for more than $12 million after the company closed its Zellers store in February 2004, 11 months before the lease was to end. Court heard rent had been fully paid, but Vista argued that the loss of the anchor tenant reversed momentum it had built at the mall. PetSave in Sudbury recently funded 3 flights of dogs to be evacuated from Kashechewan First Nation. This after residents were evacuated back in January due to a state of emergency involving the failing water system. CTV's Alana Everson reports.
This video was shot by Lost Boys Hope, a dog rescue in Barrie that evacuated 70 dogs from the Kashechewan First Nation on July 3rd. It says it worked with chief and council and a liaison to identify surrenders and strays.
These are what we call these dogs Northern designer dogs. They are a mix of huskies, shepherds, labs, that sort of stuff.
PetSave in Sudbury was involved. In March, it sent up a vet to vaccinate as many dogs as possible and temporarily sterilized the male dogs.
Implant them with a non-surgical sterilization drug that actually will buy us 6 months of sterilization on the dogs that were injected, so we could try to control, so that there wouldn't be any mass overpopulation created. And so it buys us 6 months to make a plan.
Not having the room for the evacuated dogs, PetSave put up the $54,000 needed for the flights. It partnered with Lost Boys Rescue to evacuate, quarantine, and look after adoptions.
We adopt every day and we take in dogs every day, but our volumes are just far higher than the demand. And so this is a great way by working with our southern partners. We've worked with several southern rescues, and this is the key to getting dogs out of Northern Ontario.
Some of the dogs will be ready for new homes next week.
After the 2 weeks, we get them into the vet. They get spayed and neutered. They get vaccinated. They get microchipped, and then they go up for adoption.
This is Lily, and she arrived after having puppies. After being spayed, she will be returned to Saskatchewan to her owners, who stayed in the community. This week, 3 of the evacuated dogs will be taken to Niagara Falls to be reunited with their owners, who are staying there after being displaced since January. Ellen Everson, CTV News, Lively.
And still to come here on CTV News at 6. The province gives a funding boost to Sudbury to help with housing development. And why delays are expected at the swing bridge if you're heading to Manitoulin Island.
Win your way in to Boots and Hearts with CTV and Pure Country, August 7th to the 9th, Burrells Creek, Ontario, featuring the Jonas Brothers, the Chicks, Rascal Flats, and more. Win a pair of weekend passes, including camping and parking. Enter today at ctvnorthernontario.ca.
Major roadwork has started on the Manitoulin Island swing bridge in both directions. Mayors and municipal representatives around the island have been told the Ministry of Transportation will be conducting paving operations beginning today to improve what it says is the condition and safety of the highway. We're told there will be delays, but in a bid to minimize those, roadwork will be happening at select times Monday to Thursday. The news from the MTO is the latest in a string of developments, with many hoping the bridge could finally soon be replaced.
Things are happening. It just never seems quick enough. The process is probably going to be a year or so before we get a detailed design completed, but there's evidence that it's going on.
And the project will reportedly take 2 weeks. The MPP for Parry Sound Muskoka, in his capacity for Provincial Municipal Affairs and Housing, was in Sudbury today. He joined the mayor to announce provincial funding for housing development in the city. CTV's Madison Merrier has more.
The province of Ontario is providing just under $1.3 million for housing in Greater Sudbury.
Where is the money going to, or where this money is going to go to? It's the south end, we say south of the Four Corners on Long Lake Road, to be able to open up more opportunities for housing just south of Long Lake Road. It's basically unlocking infrastructure in the south end and to allow some multiplexes to be built. So these are going to be apartments, some of which will be affordable as well. These have not been announced by the developers, but they couldn't move forward because there was no store capacity.
We know if we support infrastructure in communities, that's what allows homes to be built, whether that's water and sewer infrastructure, whether that's road and bridge infrastructure, whether that's a new pumping station or more capacity at a wastewater plant. That allows communities to grow. And we know that Greater Sudbury has a real opportunity to grow.
The Build Faster Fund provides funding to municipalities that achieve at least 80% of their provincially designated housing targets.
Sudbury has done a fantastic job of exceeding those targets now 3 years in a row. So really pleased to be able to bring the dollars that support the infrastructure that supports even more homes being built.
The province gave us a target of 380 homes to build in for 2025. The developer community and the residents built over 433, so we exceeded the target by over 14%.
Lefebvre says the new homes will likely take a year and a half to allow capacity, but adds that announcements like this show the momentum in reducing red tape to get new housing in the city. Madison Merrier, CTV News, Sudbury.
Meanwhile, a Sudbury City Councillor wants staff to address any potential gaps the city may have in affordable housing. The city has grown exponentially as of late, and it's seeing more housing, but Mike Perrin says he's not sure if there's a proportional amount of affordable housing available. He's drafted a motion directing staff to reflect on its roadmap to end homelessness, which was targeting 800 units. Perrin wants to know how Sudbury is doing in reaching that target and if it'll be adequate.
Secondary in the motion, it's asking staff to come up with possible options. I'm of the opinion that the city will have to get back into building more of these affordable units. And if that is a fact, then what are financing options? What are the opportunities to target funding from the other levels of government?
The motion goes before council Tuesday afternoon. He'll need a majority to see it pass. The Northern Tornadoes Project confirms those destructive storms that hit the region the day before Canada Day were 3 separate downbursts. According to their report, there was one with an EF2 damage rating on Lake Temagami, with tree damage around the southwest arm. And there were 2 EF1s, one at Red Cedar Lake, the other in Mattawa, which we're seeing images of. No injuries were reported in any of those storms, but all 3 reported visible damage. Back we go to Tony now for a check on the current conditions this Monday evening. Tony, it's a scorcher out there tonight.
It sure is, Marina. Let's take a look at those temperatures right now, and they're in the 30s or even higher, depending upon where you live. And through Timmins, a mix of sun and cloud at this juncture. 30 degrees, much the same for Cochrane. A little cooler for Moosonee, but basking in the sunshine. 27, 31 for Kapuskasing. Overcast for Chapleau, Wawa. A little cooler, which is kind of nice. 23 degrees, 30 degrees in Sault Ste. Marie. As we head to Parry Sound at this point, a mix of sun and cloud coming in at 27. Let's go north, shall we? 28, mix of sun and cloud for North Bay. Same temperature in through Timiskaming Shores, Kirkland Lake. And as we head to Sudbury now, 33 degrees, a little cooler for Espanola. Same temperature in through Gore Bay, and Elliott Lake is also 31. So do you think you'll need to turn on your air conditioner tomorrow? How much will you need? Well, here's a little graphic to show you. You can start off slow and then you can ramp things up because it's going to be another warm one. Marina, your 7-day weather forecast is still ahead. It's back over to you.
All right, bring on the lemonade. Thanks for that, Tony. Next here on CTV News at 6. Experts raise the alarm about rapidly rising incidents of another tick-borne illness. And victims are identified following a deadly shooting at a Toronto street festival. Two days after a fatal shooting at a street festival, Toronto police announced plans for tougher consequences to gun violence in public spaces. And we're learning more about the 2 young men killed. CTV's Janice Golding is following the latest on the investigation.
This is what a crowd of 13,000 people looks like when shots are fired in their midst.
I was scared, panicking.
5 people injured, another 2 killed, including 25-year-old Shaquan Kwashi.
My son is gone. My daughter now doesn't have a brother.
Kwashi's mother, Sheridan, says when she first learned her son was shot, she rushed to the festival.
I had to stay there for a bit because they don't know where the body.
Ultimately, however, she'd be taken to Sunnybrook Hospital where she'd wait hours.
The nurse, the surgeon, the police officers, they asked me who's there with me. It's my daughter. They told me he's dead.
Sheridan's only son dead, and a neighbor he grew up with, 20-year-old Cesar Vernazza, also killed.
As a parent, you see them all grow up together, and then for something like this to happen, it's very devastating, and it hurts because you see your kids hurting.
Mothers grieving sons, and people along St. Clair are also traumatized.
The shots rang out right there. I ducked, like we went on the stomach, and then we made sure everybody else was down.
Business owners describing the chaos, confusion, and fear after shots rang out.
You got hundreds of people like flying into the restaurant. Tables being trampled, people being trampled, like it's not a joke.
One girl was shot in the arm, and of course she's wearing a white dress, which rapidly turned red.
I think it was here, and then she was cut here too. I don't know if it was a shot or if...
How alarming was that to see?
She was an 18-year-old, so it was very alarming.
Janice Golding, CTV News.
In a controversial move, Donald Trump says the U.S. will blockade Iran in the Strait of Hormuz and will charge ships for safe passage through the critical shipping route. Trump posted, the Hormuz Strait is open and will remain open with or without Iran. Trump goes on to say the U.S. is reinstating the Iranian blockade, which means only Iranian ships or customers entering or leaving the strait will be stopped. Trump also says the U.S. expects to be reimbursed at a rate of 20% on all cargo shipped. This comes after the U.S. and Iran engaged in the largest back-and-forth attacks since they agreed to a ceasefire in April. Iranian forces fired warning shots at 2 ships attempting to cross the strait today, according to state television. Earlier, U.S. Central Command had launched overnight strikes on dozens of Iranian targets, and Iran responded with strikes on Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, and Oman. The Assembly of First Nations begins its annual general meeting tomorrow. This afternoon, the AFN's national chief said the federal government's approach to major projects is raising concerns about possible threats to First Nations rights.
After initially providing just 30 days from May 8th to June 7th, 2026 for written submissions, the federal government extended that deadline until July 22nd of this year. So that's what, a week, 2 weeks from now? Unfortunately, that revised timeline remains wholly inadequate given the breadth of changes that are being proposed. These proposals raise significant concerns regarding Canada's commitment to upholding its constitutional, statutory, and international obligations to First Nations and First Nations people. So we are calling on the federal government to extend the deadline and commit to holding full parliamentary hearings with rights holders when legislation is introduced.
Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepinak says First Nations are not opposed to economic growth. They are simply asking for a seat at the table as Ottawa attempts to shore up the economy. This week, chiefs will discuss a meeting with the Prime Minister and the Premier scheduled for the fall. Preliminary data from Statistics Canada shows the number of international arrivals to this country totaled 5.5 million in June, up 3.6% from a year ago. Trips by U.S. residents were up 5.1% last month, reaching 2.2 million. It was the 5th consecutive month of year-over-year increases. StatsCan says hosting the World Cup played a part in the increase of visitors. Air arrivals from the participating countries was up 32.5%. Air arrivals from Australia, Germany, and Panama topped the list ahead of those teams' group stage matches. A warning now about rising tick-borne disease. You know about the threat of Lyme disease. Now there's something called anaplasmosis, also carried by ticks, but even more dangerous if left untreated. Here's CTV's Adrian Gabriel.
In tall grass and along nature trails, a growing danger is lurking. Black-legged ticks have been expanding their geographical footprint in Canada, driven in part by milder winters. And now this Canadian Medical Journal report is flagging that a number of ticks aren't just carrying Lyme disease, some are spreading anaplasmosis. While rare, the tick-borne disease can be fatal.
There have been, unfortunately, 3 or 4 deaths related to anaplasmosis in the province of Ontario in the last 1 to 2 years.
They thought that he was not going to make it.
During a long nature walk with his dogs in Halifax, Nova Scotia in July of 2022, Perry Horn believes he was bitten by a tick.
He had a high fever, so much so that the bed was shaking.
He was sent home after his first 2 trips to Dartmouth General Hospital. Doctors initially thought he had COVID, though with his health rapidly declining, he was rushed back to the ER for a 3rd visit.
I woke up, my fingers were purple. My heart and kidneys were failing.
By noon the next day, the doctor was rushing him to the ICU because he wasn't getting any better and they had no idea what was going on.
It's there in the ICU that Horn was diagnosed with anaplasmosis. The most recent national data shows there were roughly 5,800 reported cases of tick-borne illness in Canada in 2024. More than 2,300 of those cases were found in each of Ontario and Nova Scotia. More than 830 were reported in Quebec, though case counts that include anaplasmosis are now believed to be even higher.
Doctor that looked after me said I was possibly the first case in Nova Scotia.
Anaplasmosis is now the 2nd most common tick-borne illness in Canada. The Horns are sharing their story to spread awareness across the country.
Nearly took me.
I had no idea if my husband was coming out of ICU.
Federal funding for TickNet Canada that brought together doctors and researchers who are battling the rise in tick-borne diseases came to an end in March, along with vital work that was being done. The government agency responsible for the cutbacks was unable to answer our questions before our deadline. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Hamilton, Ontario.
And there's more news ahead, but first, let's get to your full weather forecast with Tony Rima and a look at just when we might start to see some temperatures move back down to seasonal, Tony.
Thanks for that, Marina. Well, we'll have to wait until Wednesday evening or Thursday evening. The heat wave continues, the second one of the summer. The orange advisory in place for that area and through Timmins, Wawa, Timiskaming Shores, Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, North Bay, Manitoulin Island, Parry Sound, yellow. It's going to be above seasonal temperatures for the next couple of days, but eventually we're going to see some relief. As we take a look at our systems map, we have a couple of troughs right here, and they're going to kind of sandwich each other, and also they're going to move out, and we're going to have slightly unsettled conditions, chance of some shower activity, risk of thunderstorms, depending upon where you live. Overnight, well, the temperatures almost feel like daytime highs, don't they? And through Sudbury, 21 degrees clear. Much the same for Sault Ste. Marie. Timmins, there is a risk of thunderstorms overnight, but still warm. We're still in that heat wave. Timiskaming Shores, 21. North Bay, Moosonee, this is what you can expect. 18 degrees, a chance of showers or thunderstorms. Cap and Hearst, unsettled conditions overnight as the system moves through. For Wawa, a little cooler, chance of some rain. And Gore Bay, clear skies. Parry Sound, also risk of thunderstorms. Okay, let's take a look at your 7-day weather forecast, starting with Sudbury Nickelbelt. Tomorrow, well, sun, cloud, showers, and risk of thunderstorms. 33 with the humidity. It'll feel more like 40, 42 degrees. Temperature starts to drop a little bit on Wednesday, but Thursday we get some relief. Also, some rain on the way. A little cooler on Friday, which will be welcomed by most people. Then after that, it's back to the roller coaster weather. Should be 25 degrees, coming in at 26 later on come the weekend and into next week. For Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, beautiful sunshine, 29. Still going to be hot though. Temperature starts to fall on Thursday, increasing cloud cover, a chance of showers. Temperature drops a little bit on Friday, but Saturday, unsettled conditions. And then on Sunday, beautiful day. Monday, it's back to the rain, 26 when it should be 24 this time of year. For Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, sun, cloud, showers, and a risk of thunderstorms because it's so hot. Then on Wednesday, the rain will continue, much the same for Thursday. We get a little relief on Friday. The weekend looks beautiful at this point. Next week, we start off with some rain. Heading on over now to Timiskaming Shores, Kirkland Lake, sun, cloud, chance of rain, and risk of thunderstorms. It's going to be very hot, 32 degrees, and you see the temperatures, a lot of sun and cloud on the board. And finally, your 7-day weather forecast for North Bay, West Nipissing, 33 degrees, still going to be in that heat wave. Then the temperature falls a little bit on Wednesday. We still have unsettled conditions Thursday. Then Saturday, depending upon, if you like it or not, the rain will cool things off. We'll still have that sunshine. It'll still be humid. And then on Monday, mostly sunny, and a few clouds tossed in there, coming in at 26 degrees. And our picture of the day comes to us from Eva in Sudbury, and she said she recently went strawberry picking in Sturgeon Falls. Thanks for the picture, Eva. And if you'd like to send in your weather pictures, you can do so by sending them in to us at weather.pictures@bellmedia.ca. That's your 7-day weather forecast. There's more news still ahead.
There were no World Cup games today, but the upcoming semifinals feature the tournament's top teams: France, Spain, England, and Argentina. The 4 top-ranked teams in the world will be competing for soccer's biggest prize. All the teams have won a World Cup before, and the last time the Final Four was made up entirely of previous winners was 1990. France and Spain will face off tomorrow afternoon, and England and Argentina will battle on Wednesday. That Spain versus France semifinal game starts tomorrow at 3 p.m. and that means our 5 o'clock news will be preempted. You can still watch our 6 p.m. news as usual or go online and keep up to date with us anytime at CTV News Northern Ontario.ca and the CTV News app. North Bay played host to a Canada Celebrates the FIFA World Cup Fan Fest and Watch Party Saturday. As CTV's Eric Tashner reports, soccer fans came out to have some fun and also to view the 2 final quarterfinal games.
It's coming home! It's coming!
Local England fans...
It's coming home!
...offer prayers to the soccer gods that their country's World Cup drought ends this upcoming weekend.
It's gonna be a good game for England. My dad is from England, and a good team.
I was born there, yes. Moved here when I was 11. Really enjoying it. I think it's been great. There's been lots of good matches, and now we're getting down to the final few teams.
England plays in the semi-finals Wednesday after beating Norway 2-1.
Seen that before in major tournaments where a team maybe starts a little cold, a little iffy, but then gets hot.
Standing in their way to the final,
Argentina!
Who are led by all-time great Lionel Messi.
We think they'll come through. Fingers crossed.
Put under pressure here.
Tourism North Bay submitted a bid to host the Fan Fest, where fans of all nations gathered to watch 2 World Cup quarterfinal games Saturday with family-friendly activities.
North Bay is no stranger to hosting large sporting events, and we thought that we would be able to welcome the world and soccer fans, football fans, and come and celebrate.
While Canada lost in the round of 16, there's a lasting impact on the sport of soccer in this country and right here in North Bay, especially for young players watching a home World Cup.
It's really fun, and it's a cool experience to watch, and I love watching it with my family.
Activities like this and like watching the games and stuff.
Over 1 billion people worldwide are expected to watch the World Cup final on Sunday, soccer's ultimate game.
Of course it's coming out. Only one winner.
Where the hopes and dreams of millions ride on the 11 players representing their country.
Football's coming home.
Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
And while everyone else is talking soccer, the mayor of Greater Sudbury is thinking ahead to hockey. Paul Lefebvre is looking to the future, saying he would like the city to host Junior Hockey's Memorial Cup in 2030. With a new arena expected to be ready in 2 years, the mayor thinks it would be an opportune time to showcase the rink and the city during the event.
Sudbury has never hosted the Memorial Cup. We are one of the pillars of the OHL system, and through the Roses, a known brand across this province, actually across this country. And now the fact that we'll have a new event center, which allows us to meet the threshold and the parameters that will be looked at by the OHL and the CHL to host a huge national tournament.
And Lefebvre says an official bid will be made in 2 years. Well, from hockey to biking, it was an exciting weekend for the mountain bike community in Northern Ontario. Riders from across the region took part in the Dufour Downhill Enduro mountain bike race Sunday. There was fun to be had for all ages, including the main downhill trail for experienced riders in various categories. Plus, there was also a mini race for ages 5 to 11. This was the second annual downhill mountain bike event in Elliott Lake. And still ahead here on CTV News at 6. How a new expansion at the Ronald McDonald House in Ottawa is helping families from far away, including Northern Ontario. Stay with us.
Clothing consideration provided by
Fashion Fair. Beautiful clothing for today's woman, where quality makes the difference.
A medical examiner has determined U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham died of an aortic dissection. But what is this condition, and is it always deadly? We get some answers from CTV's Pauline Chan.
The aorta is the big tube that comes out of the heart, and dissection means it tears.
And as you can imagine, it's an extremely urgent situation.
It's one of the most acute and dramatic and high-risk illnesses we see in all of heart surgery. What happens is the big tube or the aorta tears and the blood rushes into the wall. It's associated with 95% mortality.
Senator Lindsey Graham was 71 and was reported to have had a brief and sudden illness when he died. Without knowing details of the senator's medical history, Dr. Bobby Yanagawa says high blood pressure is common as we age, and it may have been a factor. Aortic defects are rarely detected before these catastrophic tears, but a family history can give doctors a clue. Actor John Ritter and Canadian opera singer Misha Bruegger-Gosman-Lee are two other celebrities who've suffered aortic dissections. Bruegger-Gosman-Lee's was successfully treated.
The most common presentation is this: when people say, I have a 10 out of 10 excruciating pain that I've never felt, and it's tearing to my back. That's the characteristic pain of dissection.
Yanagawa says call 911 immediately if this happens. His other advice is to visit your doctor regularly to make sure your blood pressure is at a healthy level. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Well, it's an unimaginable situation for families and parents. Learning your child is critically sick and you have to travel to another city to support them. But a new expansion at the Ronald McDonald House in Ottawa is helping more families navigate that, including some from here in the north. CTV's Kimberly Johnson reports.
It was a moment that shattered her world when Michelle Neal learned her daughter Grace was sick.
You don't really focus on the other needs that you have, which is, eat, sleep.
18-month-old Grace was diagnosed with neuroblastoma in 2024, a type of cancer that forms in certain nerve tissues. While she underwent cancer treatments at CHEO, the family from Iroquois Falls, near Timmins, would find themselves here at Ronald McDonald House for 4 months.
Calm everything that was traumatic going on in the background and just allowed us to be present for Grace while they took care of us.
Together, we have added 25,000 square feet.
Now more rooms and space have been added, allowing 13,000 families to stay here each year. The expansion marked on Monday with an official celebration.
You'll see lots of space for families to spread out.
The rooms have doubled from 14 to 36, with 1 and 2 unit family suites. New family-focused amenities have been added, game and movie rooms, and a living room space with toys for young kids. Also now a bigger kitchen and dining area.
Provide a space for families to bring in their own food, make their home-cooked meals just like they would at home, share those meals sometimes with other families, which is a really special experience.
The $24.6 million expansion is funded by federal and provincial grants as well as donors. It eliminates the wait list for families that can come as far away as Nunavut.
Children need their parents to be well, to have their best healing journey, and parents that are stressed about trying to travel and afford somewhere to be close to their child, it's really exactly what this house does, is avoid that stress.
Today, Grace is cancer-free, and the Neals say this new space enhances the vital support that was already here.
It's a whole different environment for families to heal, families to process.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV News.
A unique Calgary brain study is revealing just how much your mental well-being can be affected if you reduce the hours spent scrolling through social media on your cell phone. And curiously, it was initiated by a teenager. Here's CTV's Kathy Lee.
Scroll, tap, repeat. For many people, doom scrolling on their smartphone has become second nature. That's how it was for Jarrett Gross.
I always felt like I wasted a lot of time, and it was also hard to stop.
Last November, the 17-year-old decided to make some changes, so he ditched his smartphone for a flip phone where he could not access social media apps and started noticing improvements in his overall well-being.
It was pretty good. I like it way better. I think life is better on a flip phone.
He wanted to know if those changes could be measured, so he asked some of his closest friends to take part in a case study. They switched to flip phones for a couple months while a psychologist conducted before and after brain scans. Dr. Blake Osmos led the experiment, which included a questionnaire.
In the measures for depression and stress levels, as well as anxiety, they dropped immediately.
And for the brain scans,
what we saw is a decrease of those alpha brain waves in the frontal lobe, which can be correlated with brain fog.
Most of Gross's friends eventually returned to their smartphones, but he is still committed to his flip phone. The teen joins a growing trend of people seeking them out.
This is Nokia phone.
Jerry Ede runs an e-commerce business selling refurbished cell phones and says more and more people want the old school version.
5 years prior, it used to be just seniors that are buying flip phones. But right now we are seeing even the younger generation.
Ede adds that parents are also looking for flip phones for their kids.
And asks, why are you buying a flip phone for your kid? Because I don't want them to use social media.
Gross says he is more present now that he doesn't have easy access to social media on his cell phone, and he hopes his experience encourages others.
I can message people, call people,
to rethink their own screen time. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
According to Statistics Canada, more than 7 million people live in households composed of parents and their adult children. If someone who lives with you is a licensed driver, it's important that they're also listed on your auto insurance policy. CTV's Pat Foran has details.
I feel very frustrated and very disappointed that this has happened to us.
Vivi and Mohammed Mirza of Markham say their son Adam moved in with them last year. It was supposed to be temporary. Adam borrowed his parents' car to go to a medical appointment and unfortunately was involved in a serious car accident. The claim was denied because their son wasn't listed on their policy.
We agreed that we then declared our son moved in here. He was living in Ajax when we bought the car.
The Mirzas appealed the decision, but their insurance company, Wawanesa, told them, you failed to disclose to your broker or Wawanesa that Adam operates the vehicle with your permission and lives in your household. As such, your right to recovery is forfeited and your claim is denied. The Mirzas say they still have a loan for the 2019 Mitsubishi and still owe $26,000. Now they're paying for a car they no longer have.
What is wrong in allowing your child to use your car for just a doctor's visit?
Anyone who is a regular and frequent operator of your vehicle should be listed on your policy.
The Insurance Bureau of Canada says all licensed drivers in a household should be included on your insurance policy.
When there's a significant change, even though you may think my son's moving back home, it's not a significant change. From an insurance company's perspective, it could be a significant change.
The Mirzas are devastated. They're making monthly payments on a car they no longer have and feel they should have received at least partial payment for their written-off vehicle.
We seem to be losing money constantly. We are dishing out, and we're left with the liability of a car loan and no settlement from an insurance company.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Now to some sad news out of Hollywood today. Actor Sam Neill has died.
Having another adventure. It's a very privileged life I've had, I have to say.
Best known for his work in Jurassic Park, The Piano, and in Peaky Blinders, Sam Neill from New Zealand was celebrated for his smooth elegance and versatility on screen. A statement on the actor's social media page says his death in Sydney, Australia was sudden and unexpected. In 2023, Neill said he had been diagnosed with cancer, though his family statement says he was cancer-free when he died and didn't specify a cause of death. Sam Neill was 78 years old. Michael Jackson and Madonna are back in entertainment news. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Report.
You know what I'm after?
You want to be the biggest star in the world?
Michael hits $1 billion. The Michael Jackson biopic has crossed the $1 billion mark in global box office. It's the first biopic to reach that milestone, and according to Deadline, the first film by its studio, Lionsgate, to gross $1 billion.
We deserve it. We deserve to be who we are.
Honorary degrees for 2 Oscar-winning filmmakers. The American Film Institute is honoring writer, director, and producer Guillermo del Toro and writer and director Aaron Sorkin at the AFI Conservatory's 2026 commencement ceremony on August 7th.
One step away from your freedom, one breath away from the desert flag.
Madonna is back at #1. Her new album, Confessions 2, has debuted atop the Billboard 200. It's Madonna's 10th album to lead that chart, and she's the first performer with a #1 album in this decade who's also topped the chart in 3 other decades. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Another Chinese car manufacturer is looking at selling electric vehicles in Canada. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has more.
Dongfeng is a state-owned car maker. It is in the process of certifying its cars in Canada. The company wants to bring 2 of its models to this country by next year. It is one of several Chinese companies trying to break into the market after the Prime Minister decided to allow up to 49,000 Chinese-made EVs to be sold here at a lower tariff rate. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar really hasn't changed. It's at 70.64 US. West Texas Intermediate up over $6 to 78.14. Western Canadian Select is down to 57.03, and the TSX lost 52 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
And here's a look at the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold down $118.40, closing the day at $4,135 US an ounce. Silver down $2.22, copper up 7 cents, and nickel down 7 cents, ending the day at $7.39 US a pound. Back we go to Tony now for one last look at the weather and those hot temperatures for Tuesday.
Thanks for that, Marina. How true, yes. Let's take a look at your forecast, starting with Sudbury tomorrow, 33 degrees, sun cloud, rain, and a risk of thunderstorms. Also risk of thunderstorms in through Timmins. Sault Ste. Marie, mainly sunny, coming in at 29 degrees. As we head on over to North Bay, risk of thunderstorms, 33. Perry Sound, unsettled day, 31. Another hot and humid day for Timiskaming Shores, 32 degrees as a daytime high. Marina.
All right, thanks for that, Tony. Well, finally for us tonight, competitors were chomping at the bit in Washington State for an annual prehistoric sprint.
And T-Rex is away.
You don't need a horse in the race to get a kick out of this. In the final, the leader's inflated suit led to a bruised ego as an untimely tumble allowed another T-Rex to devour the competition, taking the title of T-Rex World Champion. Imagine that. There really is something for everyone out there. And I have to say, if temperatures are like they are here, it's no wonder a couple of them were taking tumbles. That would be warm. My little guy is probably loving watching this video at home right now. Dinosaurs all day. That's all the time we have here on CTV News at 6. Thanks for watching. I will see you again tomorrow. Good night.